Beloved, when the heart rises in faith, it beats to a rhythm that cannot be broken by fear. Psalm 112 tells us of the one who trusts, who does not stumble when the storm winds howl, whose spirit is steady because their foundation is eternal. And in that trust, doors open. Doors that no hand of man can shut, doors that swing wide with the sound of promise. 7 times, the Spirit reminds us that abundance is not a matter of chance but of alignment. The first time he opens the door of provision, whispering that bread will not run out and oil will not dry. The second time, he unlocks the chamber of opportunities, placing in our path the kind of favor that cannot be earned, only received. The third, he breathes upon the work of our hands, turning labor into increase, and sweat into sweet harvest. The fourth time, he lifts our eyes to see beyond the lack, to behold fields ripe for the taking, waiting for our faith to step forward. The fifth, he opens the treasury of wisdom, because wealth without wisdom is a snare, but wisdom makes gold into legacy. The sixth time, he calls strangers to bring blessings, moves hearts to remember us, and causes networks to form where once we stood alone. And the seventh time, oh the seventh time, he crowns it all with peace. What good is abundance without rest? What joy is wealth without harmony in the soul? So the faithful rise. They rise with calm hearts, unafraid of bad news, unshaken by shadows. They know that when one door closes, the hand of God fashions 7 more, each greater than the last. They walk not in worry but in witness, witness that every promise still stands, and every word spoken still breathes life. Beloved, the soul that trusts in the word of promise does not tremble when the earth groans, or when the winds of uncertainty blow across the land. For there is a stillness inside, a calm that lives where fear once resided, a confidence that is born not of riches seen but of treasures promised. Psalm 112 tells of such a soul, one that is unafraid of bad news, whose heart is steadfast, trusting in the eternal. And it is in this posture of faith that doors unseen and unexpected begin to swing open, one after another, until the very life of the faithful becomes a testimony of divine provision. There is something holy about doors. They are boundaries and yet gateways, barriers and yet passages. A closed door may seem like an end, but when the divine hand touches it, what once was locked becomes an invitation. And so we speak of 7 times, 7 sacred openings where heaven meets earth, where God breathes possibility into impossibility, where financial doors open not by chance, not by the cunning of man, but by the orchestration of a higher order. The first opening is the door of provision. It is the assurance that the table will not be empty, that the children will not hunger, that the oil in the jar will stretch beyond its measure. Provision is the bread in the wilderness, manna falling fresh with the morning dew. It is water springing forth from a rock struck in the desert. The faithful heart does not hoard, nor does it fret, for it has learned the rhythm of divine generosity. When the world says, "You must hold tight," the faithful one opens their hand and receives what cannot be counted, because provision does not flow from the marketplace but from the hand that formed the heavens. The second opening is the door of opportunity. Opportunity comes not always dressed in grandeur, but often clothed in simplicity. It may appear as a small chance, a quiet introduction, a single step that leads to a great unfolding. When God opens the door of opportunity, it is not bound by status, connections, or the limitations of circumstance. One moment of favor outweighs years of striving. A single encounter, a meeting that seems by chance, becomes the hinge upon which a new season swings wide. And the faithful one, who walks alert and ready, steps through that door with courage, knowing that what awaits on the other side is more than what was left behind. The third opening is the blessing upon the work of the hands. Labor is not in vain when it is touched by divine favor. Fields yield more than their measure, businesses thrive where others falter, ideas bloom into enterprises that bless not only the one who dreamed them but generations to come. There is no toil without fruit when heaven smiles upon the work of the faithful. And so the hands that once knew scarcity now know abundance, the sweat that once fell in frustration now falls in gratitude, for every effort is multiplied beyond natural law. The fourth opening is the door of vision. To see beyond the present is itself a gift of wealth. Vision turns empty land into fields of gold, a barren space into a city yet to rise. Vision whispers to the weary that what they hold is seed, though their eyes see only a husk. Vision pulls the faithful forward, calling them to step into rooms they once thought were too grand, into ventures they once thought were beyond reach. And in the clarity of vision, what seemed like lack becomes opportunity. What looked like failure becomes foundation, and what was unseen now takes shape before the eyes of faith. The fifth opening is the treasury of wisdom. For what is wealth without the hand to manage it? What is abundance without the mind to sustain it? Wisdom is the compass that turns riches into legacy, that prevents waste and calls forth stewardship. Wisdom teaches the faithful how to sow, where to plant, when to wait, and when to harvest. It protects from snares that glitter but hold no substance, and it guides into streams that never run dry. Wisdom is the quiet voice that says, "Do not despise the small beginning," and the steady hand that restrains from rushing ahead of grace. When the treasury of wisdom is opened, financial doors are not only entered but secured, not only received but multiplied, not only celebrated but sustained. The sixth opening is the blessing of connection. No soul prospers alone, and no journey of abundance is walked in isolation. God moves hearts to remember, to favor, to give, to support. Strangers become allies, networks form where once there was none, doors of influence swing wide that no merit could have earned. The faithful find themselves linked with others whose presence accelerates purpose. And in these divine connections resources flow, opportunities expand, and the reach of influence stretches far beyond imagination. The seventh opening is peace. For what is gold without rest? What is silver without sleep? What is wealth without the quiet assurance of safety and joy? Peace is the crown upon abundance, the melody that makes prosperity sing, the balance that steadies blessing. Peace means eating in contentment, dwelling in security, and knowing that what has been received will not be stolen by anxiety or fear. Peace is the gentle seal upon every financial door, the reminder that prosperity is not merely in the having but in the resting. 7 times the hand of God moves, 7 doors swing wide, 7 manifestations of faith's reward unfold. And the one who trusts, the one whose heart is steady, sees each of these doors in their journey. They do not panic when one door closes, for they know another waits just ahead. They do not despair when the path grows narrow, for they know a greater gate is being fashioned. Consider the soul that lives this way. They rise in the morning not with dread but with expectation, knowing that the day may hold the turning of the key. They walk into rooms, not wondering if they belong, but declaring with their presence that the hand of God has brought them there. They engage in labor with joy, for every effort becomes seed, every seed becomes harvest, and every harvest becomes testimony. And still, the faithful must remember that doors are not opened by greed or haste, but by trust and patience. The anxious heart demands, but the steadfast heart receives. The hurried hand grabs, but the open hand gathers. In every season the faithful are called to wait without wavering, to hope without trembling, to believe without retreating. When the community sees such a life, it cannot help but be stirred. Neighbors ask, "How is it that in famine they flourish?" Friends wonder, "How do they rise when others fall?" Enemies are silenced, for no scheme can explain away the favor that rests upon the faithful. And the answer is always the same: it is not by might, nor by power, but by the hand of the Eternal who opens what no one can shut. Beloved, there is something about the number 7 that speaks of completion, of fullness, of a work that lacks nothing. And so when 7 doors open, the faithful can walk with assurance that no corner of their life has been forgotten. Provision feeds the body, opportunity expands the path, labor multiplies fruit, vision directs the journey, wisdom sustains the blessing, connection enlarges the influence, and peace secures it all. Nothing missing, nothing broken, nothing left undone. Let us then live not with eyes cast down in worry, but with faces lifted in trust. For though the world may speak of lack, the faithful will speak of doors. Though others may see walls, the faithful will see hinges. And though some may fear the closing of opportunities, the faithful will rejoice, knowing that 7 greater doors are yet to open. And in the stillness of the night, when doubts would creep in, the faithful heart will remember the words of Psalm 11:2. They will have no fear of bad news, their hearts are steadfast, trusting in the Lord. For in that trust lies every key, every opening, every treasure. It is the trust itself that invites the doors to swing wide, and it is the trust itself that keeps the soul at peace when the waiting grows long. So walk forward, beloved, with courage. Not the courage that shouts loudly, but the courage that waits quietly, that believes without seeing, that thanks before receiving. For the 7 doors stand before you, and in time, in season, in perfect rhythm, they will open. And when they do, the testimony of your life will not be in the gold you carry or the wealth you display, but in the peace that surrounds you, the wisdom that guides you, and the light that shines through you. Beloved, the truth stands unshaken. When hearts are anchored in trust, when faith holds steady against the tide, no door can remain shut against the hand of God. Psalm 112 is not a whisper but a declaration that the faithful need not fear scarcity, for abundance walks beside them. And when 7 doors swing open, provision, opportunity, labor, vision, wisdom, connection, and peace, the faithful are not merely blessed, they become a blessing. So walk with your head lifted, your spirit unbowed, your steps sure. Do not shrink before closed doors, for what is sealed today will be opened tomorrow by the one who holds the keys of eternity. Let your testimony be this, that you trusted when others doubted, you believed when others feared, and you walked through every door prepared for you. For in the end, it is not just about the wealth that enters your hand, but about the faith that enlarges your soul, the peace that crowns your days, and the legacy that outlives your name. Rise then, and live as one who knows. Every door you need has already been written into your path, and in the perfect moment it shall be opened.